Hello, everyone. My name is Rosie Rios, 43rd Treasurer of the United States and a proud board member of Ladies Who Launch. We are here to talk about the new normal. So we all know the last 15 months have been so challenging, no matter where you live or what you do or what size business you may run. So to close out today, we're going to sit down with a few leaders across the country to see how we've all changed over the last year and what we're leaving behind, and perhaps what learnings we can all take with us moving forward. First, I'd love to introduce my discussion leaders. We're going to go around and say who we are. We have Autumn, Mickey, and Kirsten. Autumn, why don't we talk about you first?
Hey everyone, my name is Autumn and I am the co-founder and CEO of Detroit Dough, which is an edible cookie dough manufacturing company right here in Detroit. And also I'm the founder of Proxy, which is a community that bridges the gap between business resources and Black women entrepreneurs. I'm so excited to be here and talk to you guys.
Mickey?
Hi everyone, I'm Mickey Krimmel. I'm the founder of Superfit Hero. We are the world's most inclusive premium plus size activewear brand. It's really our goal to invite folks of all shapes and sizes to participate in joyful movement. I'm really excited to be here today.
And Kirsten.
Hi, I'm Kirsten and I head up product and design for White House Black Market.
Excellent, thank you. And I just want to start out by saying I am wearing White House Black Market. I think we all are, so thank you so much for that.
All look fantastic. It's a proud moment.
Thank you so much. So, the last year has been challenging. I certainly have had to learn how to pivot. Here I am in the Bay Area, and my focus had been commercial real estate. And of course, a year ago, that all kind of came to a grinding halt. So we're going to talk about kind of what we learned and what we're going to think about moving forward. And Autumn, I want to start with you because you mentioned that you launched Detroit Dough that primarily served live events or movie businesses. So clearly, this has had an impact on your business. Can you walk us through how you managed this and how you were inspired to launch something new?
Yeah, absolutely. So if we were to transport back to about February or March of 2020, things were going well. We had the best quarter that we've ever had. We launched a temporary spot in a local place in Detroit, and it was going really well. And we were knocking it out of the park. Our movie theaters were doing well. We're also at Little Caesars Arena, which is where the Red Wings and the Pistons play. And we were killing it. And then March 15th happened and everything shut down. And so I'm not sure if everyone remembers, but our stadiums were the first to close. So the Pistons, when the Pistons decided they weren't having any more events happening, it became very clear that was kind of the halt of our business. And so luckily we were able to get out of our lease that we had. But within 2 weeks, we kind of realized that, we're not even sure if movie theaters and the entertainment industry is coming back. And one thing about our product, so we sell edible cookie dough. I'm sure everyone has tried edible cookie dough at some point in time. It's everywhere now. But we were the first cookie dough company in the country to sell spoonable dough to a movie theater. And so with our product, we're more on the premium edge of concessions. So a lot of our concessionaires, movie theaters are like, hey, when we open up, we've got to deal with high volume products that, don't cost us that much. So even when things started to open up, our product was no longer available. And so for us, we had to make the tough decision to close down. And so right now we're in the process of potentially exiting the business. But now, throughout all of that, I noticed that a lot of Black women were starting businesses. As we know, all of you all are here because you're either in the starting phases or you're looking to scale. So there's obviously a market here, but I wanted to make sure that Black women had the opportunity to learn about the resources that existed. And so because of that and through all the turmoil, I started Proxy.
And tell us about Proxy specifically. What does it do?
Yeah, so Proxy is a community that bridges the gap between business resources and Black women entrepreneurs. It started off just as an Instagram page, but has grown into a suite of educational services and technical assistance, providing for all of the resources for Black women entrepreneurs. We have about 1,700 Black women entrepreneurs from across the country, and we're looking to grow and expand in 2021.
That's really great. Yeah. So Mickey, at Superfit Hero, you were poised for high growth, but then the pandemic created a lot of different challenges that impacted your business and your studios. So what was the moment you thought to yourself, we aren't going to make it, or I have no idea what I'm doing. So what happened?
There are so many of those moments. Oh man, yeah, it was a tough year for us. I mean, yeah, March, 2020 is when it all began. We were poised to go into production on our summer collection. We do all our manufacturing here in LA, so we work on a really quick timeline. So we're getting ready to manufacture for summer. It was going to be like our big collection for the year. And we were ordering fabric from Italy. So first Italy shut down, we couldn't get our fabric. And then LA, all of the factories got shut down. So then our factory shut down. So we're like, okay, it's fine. It's going to be like a month. It'll be cool. We'll just, skip summer and go to fall. So we started planning for fall. And then, our factory went out of business. So then as factories started to open back up in LA, there was so much competition for that factory floor space because there's actually a lot of large brands that still manufacture here. They manufacture overseas as well, but they'll do smaller runs or samples in Los Angeles. And so it just got really, really hard for us as a small brand to find any factory floor space. Especially because we were trying to find a new factory. So essentially we weren't able to put anything new out between February and November of last year, which, Kirsten can tell you for a fashion company is death, right? Like not having anything new essentially for the entire year. And so there's multiple moments along that where I thought, oh my God, we're not going to make it. We had to, I was about to make a big hire and I had to pause that. I mean, we were definitely about to grow and it all just kind of the rug got pulled out from under me. But we used that time, we scaled back, we turned off, PR, marketing, scaled back all of our expenses. And we just got pulled out of the warehouse. We basically went back to where we were 2 years ago, shipping everything ourselves and just kind of shrunk the team and got down to basics. And we took that time to really connect with our community, the folks that had been, supporting us from the beginning. And we did a really intensive customer research project where we just asked our community, what is challenging for you about purchasing active wear? And we found, at the time we served customers who wore extra small through 5XL. So even then we were one of the most inclusive. But what we found through those conversations, and we'd started to have an idea that this was going in this direction, but our community really guided us toward making the pivot to service plus size customers only. And we just found that the problems we were solving for our customers who were in plus size bodies are very different than the problems we were solving for the folks in smalls and mediums. They can shop anywhere, and so those are the problems we decided that we are best situated to solve as a small business, as members of the community. And so we really, really doubled down just on that. And we shifted our size range. We now offer size large through 7XL, which for us is a 12 to 42. And so it's really clarifying for us just as a business to have that sort of downtime to really connect with our customers and figure out what is our super, super unique position in the marketplace and what problem can we solve better than the larger activewear brands.
That's fascinating. Now, Kirsten, obviously you might have some interesting stories that are relatable to what Mickey just shared. So walk us through what your organization had to go through and what you learned from a leadership perspective.
Absolutely. So like Mickey said, March hit and all of a sudden we are a big store-based organization. So we have about 335 stores and they closed. And we know when this all happened, we weren't sure how long this was going to happen. At first, we thought it was going to be a couple of weeks. And obviously that wasn't the case. So overnight, we were going from a store-based organization that had a digital presence to a digital organization. So we already, thankfully, had, quite a healthy digital business. But now we had to quickly pivot. We had to pivot first of all, we had to pivot our product assortment. And secondly, we had to pivot the way we meet our customer because she was no longer able to come into stores. And we have such an intimate relationship, our stylists with our customers. So we were able to leverage, we have a tool, Style Connect, where we can virtually still style our customers. So we really made sure that we were leveraging that, and we were continuing. And so our stylists, even though they weren't able to be in the store, they were able to work with our customers through Style Connect. We also then did quite a bit on social selling. So we reached out to our customer, and she wanted moments that would transport her and bring her joy at a time where there was just so much happening. And since we are a brand that she comes to for confidence and joy, we were able to do social selling. So we did it outside. We did it from our house, and we took product and we put it in front of her, and it worked, and we continued to get in front of her every week. And we were also able to have conversations with where she was and what she was looking for. So she really helped guide us to how we navigated our assortment. So there was a lot of agility, a lot of pivoting, and also having such a large team in the organization, keeping everybody very close. We thought like a startup. We got nimble. We communicated often and openly, and no day looked the same. And we really kept everybody informed of where we were going, and how we were going to get there. And we were also honest that we didn't have all the answers, but we were figuring it out. And we had an incredibly engaged team, and we managed to continue to design collections, buy collections, and also pivot our assortment while throughout that entire year. So a lot of those learnings we took with us. We're a much more flexible organization now. We're much more agile. We included our customer in every decision, but being able to get so close to her, now we consult her and we speak to her and she just gives us so much insight of where she is. So incredible learnings came out of it. And also that, we have a very flexible work environment now where we don't have to be in the office 5 days a week to be productive. So, and we are able to balance our families with what we do as well.
Yeah, I think there's an interesting thread in all your stories. So one, obviously the concept of physical space changed everything, right? Mm-hmm. So Autumn, you talked about how you had a chance to kind of, renegotiate your lease. Mickey, you talked about your warehouse challenges, and obviously Kirsten, you're a retail outlet, so you have brick and mortar, right? So that's one thing. Two is you had to change your products, right? So your product itself, either in Autumn, in your case, you have obviously moved on to something else, or the delivery of that product changed, right? And then, also, the kind of your distribution channels, right? So how you think about, getting to ultimately to your customer and what that customer needs. And I can't help but wonder, for all of those, any one of those would have been enough, right? But you had them all at the same time, and none of it was easy. I could only imagine. And so I'm wondering, is there one of you, Autumn or Mickey, just because you're founders and you're kind of, you're in the driver's seat, if you will, of your own destiny here. Can one of you talk about kind of, it must have been so difficult. Like there must have been so many days where you thought to yourself, what's next? Right? I mean, so talk about that, because I think we all went through that. I really do. There's some part of our life that we all really had that fear in us of, oh my goodness, what now, right? And especially as women, you've heard the research about women have been disproportionately impacted in the pandemic, the 150,000 jobs that were lost just in December. So if you can talk about that, I think that's going to be very helpful for us, because I think there's also good takeaways here when we talk about the vulnerability pieces.
Yeah, I'll speak just to the fact of, my business is now closing, right? And I think that is a real reality for a lot of us. When I, was going into 2020, I never thought that I would be closing down my business by Q2. And so for me, what I'll say is in the 2 weeks of us closing, like March 15th, until about April 1. It was very difficult because I just really didn't see a path forward. It was like, okay, we just bought 20,000 cups, to sell our edible cookie dough. We just stocked up on raw goods. We were paying on a manufacturing space. We had just bought a building that we were renovating, and then we just won a $200,000 0% interest loan to make it all happen, right? So all of these things were kind of falling on us, and I have a co-founder team of two other people, including me, and it just, for me, it was like, okay, Autumn, you can drag this thing out. You could try to pivot. You could try to push through, right? But you already know in your gut what's happening here. The movie theater industry, the entertainment industry is going to change. One thing that I like to liken it to is like, we're in this renaissance period, right? And so things die, but also things are birthed, right? And so if you are in one of those industries that's going to die, don't waste all of your time trying to throw things into this industry and try to make it work, right? The best you can do is acknowledge where you are, close up shop, know when to fold it, and come up with something fresh. And so when I was able to come up with that perspective over the past 2 weeks, I was able to acknowledge that Black women are starting businesses more than any other demographic, and they need support. And if I can get Black women, to the point of getting to six figures, like a lot of our other Caucasian male and Caucasian women counterparts, right? If I can close that gap, I feel like I'll be doing my passion because I've done it before. And so I think through that, it just allowed me to spark an interest and a passion that I always knew I had. And it's been able to help me grow and move past it.
That's amazing. Mickey, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny now that we're mostly past, right? We're speaking of the pandemic in the past, but I think a lot of us are still feeling the impacts. I mean, economically for sure, but emotionally as well. I mean, it was one of the hardest times in my life. I've to go from, oh, our business is poised for all this growth and we have this amazing plan, to like literally 2 weeks later, like, oh my God, I don't know if we're going to make it. I mean, I've sort of moved past that, but just to remember that and to remember what that feels like, I think is really important. And, I went through this period of like, you question your identity. I'm sure, Autumn, you had this, we as entrepreneurs and founders, we tie ourselves so deeply to our projects. Like, this is who I am. I'm a founder, and when you start to see that potentially crumble, it's like, wait, even though, like, obviously it's not my fault there's a pandemic, it still feels like, oh, I wasn't prepared or I didn't plan for this. And to sort of go through those feelings, it was a huge struggle. I mean, I can't deny it. But I also came to this point where I realized that everyone was going through the same thing, that literally everyone, not just founders, that we were all insecure. We were all insecure in our job, in our finances, and that there is no such thing as security and control with respect to that. Like, we can do our best to plan and be well situated, but there is no such thing as control. And so then I sort of settled into my identity as an entrepreneur. And I said, well, at least there's something I can do, if not Superfit Hero, something else. Like, I am a founder. I am an entrepreneur. This is who I am. And, that is no more or less secure than working at some big company that also might go out of business because of the pandemic or some other reason. And so I just really, really settled into that identity and worked to create relationships with other women founders going through the same thing. And then, I just lean on my community in a really big way.
I think that's a very important point. I think we tend to forget sometimes when we get over a hump and we move on, we tend to forget what that valley really looked like. And it's really important to remember that, because it is empowering. It is kind of amazing to realize that you've come through that, and then there's so much more to think about or reinvent yourself, right? So I guess I had two occasions during 2020. So one was what I mentioned, I was working on a very large real estate project in San Francisco. Of course, that was put on hold. But the other was, 2020, since 2008, I've been working towards August 26, 2020, which is the suffrage centennial, the 100-year anniversary of the 19th Amendment granting women the right to vote. And that's been my personal passion for years, over a decade, working towards that date. And, you know, of course, the pandemic and other priorities, that milestone kind of came and went. Very frustrating for me because there is no other historical milestone for women in our country at that level. It just doesn't exist. That was the one. So, you know, for me, it was a little sad because I had all these projects that I was working on, but at the same time, it made me realize, you know, there's another milestone around the corner for all of us, which for me is 2026. 2026 is the 250th anniversary of our nation's founding. Of course, to be discussed in greater detail exactly what that means. But my point is, and it's no longer just his story or her story. There's our story to tell here, right? And so I consider this kind of a 5-year count up. This coming July 4th, 2021, for me, is my 5-year count up of what I hope is kind of a national journey that we're all going to take together about what this country values. And so that was a big kind of awakening for me in 2020, as sad as it was, but it really forced me to kind of, you know, reinvent my purpose a little bit more in terms of these personal passions. And so I think, again, that's very important for people to remember that there is so much more beyond our little world. And we all have to find that. We all have to find also the support networks, as you mentioned, Mickey. We do have to rely on each other to make each other understand that there is more to what's happening at that moment in time. And that pain shall pass. It really will. This too shall pass. And there's so much more moving forward. And so these are all great stories. Not everyone has these great stories, but that's what we're here today to talk about, right? There are more stories like this, but this is just the beginning of this bigger conversation. And so, Kirsten, for you, I mean, you know, seriously, how we think about going back to work and how we think about what that normal, you know, attire is going to look like is going to be crazy. It's just crazy, right? So when I worked in Treasury, it was all kind of black and gray suits. And then, you know, when I left Treasury, it was kind of, you know, a little bit more casual. And here, you know, I'm wearing something today from White House Black Market that I absolutely adore, that I am so comfortable in. So how's this going to work? How's this going to work for all of us in terms of what our work life is going to look like?
You know, even before the pandemic, what women considered power dressing or dressing that gave them confidence was already changing, because style is always important, feeling confidence important, but also feeling comfortable and feeling like your personal style reflects who you are. That was already changing. So coming out of the pandemic now, you know, we serve women who have somewhere to go, who want to feel confident, who want to feel beautiful. And regardless of what work looks like and what social occasions look like, you want to feel put together. And what we're seeing now is that the new work is really still feeling put together, but comfort's now important. So using stretch in your fabrics. Also combining it with very emotional pieces. Our customer is right now responding to print and to color. And it's almost that euphoric dressing that is now so important, because you've spent this year in sweats and now you just want to break out. And, you know, I'm wearing a chiffon maxi dress today, and all of you look so put together. So I think, you know, everyone wants to go back to feeling, you know, put together and confident, but you're not going to compromise your comfort. You're not going to compromise your personal style, but you want something new. And you want to feel put together at work. And, you know, that could now mean putting on the jacket that you have today, pairing it with denim, or wearing just a great, beautiful, you know, printed top. And you can wear that with a pant, but the pant now has to have stretch and it has to move. And, you know, washability is important. So easy care. So we take all of our customers' busy lives into consideration. So, because there's no longer the day where you have closets for different occasions, your closet and your wardrobe has to take you throughout all the busy occasions in our days because we don't have time to change. And we don't want to feel uncomfortable in a meeting, and we want to show up and feel like we own the room.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So for all three of you, as we think about, again, the last 15 months, what would you, knowing what you know now, what would you tell yourself today, 15 months ago? So pretend you knew 15 months ago what was going to happen. What would you tell yourself today? Autumn, what would you tell yourself?
I would tell myself that you are right where you need to be, that this is exactly what is needed for your personal growth, for your business growth, for your professional growth. Everything that I learned about myself in the pandemic has made me the fully realized person that I am today. And I'm continuing to grow. I'm 27, so I still have some time to figure it all out. But I felt definitely before the pandemic that I was behind. But I realized that at that point, this is exactly where I need to be, and it was all of the momentum that I needed to be who I am today.
Mickey, what about you? What would you tell yourself 15 months ago? What would you tell your future Mickey self?
First, I just want to say, Autumn, you're amazing.
No, you're amazing.
You're 27. You're so far ahead. You're killing it. You don't need to hear that from me, but I needed to say it. Yeah, I would tell myself, I relearned over the past year the importance of having a plan. And what I mean by plan is like not just where you're going this year, but where are you going next year? Where are you going to be in the next 5 years? It's like, having a map to where you're going, Google Maps, you're driving somewhere, if there's a detour, you can still figure out where you're going because you have the map. You can see the bigger picture. It's the same in business or even in just lifestyle planning. If you know where you want to be 5 years from now, if something like a pandemic or some other crazy thing comes out of nowhere and derails you, you can take a detour. You can figure out, how am I going to get around this problem to get to where I personally want to be in 5 years? And so I spent a lot of time working on that, both just personally and as a business. And I feel like now I'm better situated for the next catastrophe, God willing.
Great. That's really great. Kirsten, what about you? What would you tell yourself now from before?
It would really be to keep focused, stay on your strategy, know as exactly what you said, Mickey. You know where your brand needs to go. You can pivot along the way, but when you know where you need to go, you can keep focused and keep going towards that goal. Even when it feels like there's so many outside factors coming at you and you're zigzagging, you really know where you need to go. So it's really that focus. But while you're staying focused, there's agility along the way, and to be okay that you might not get there in a straight line, but the journey along the way sometimes inspires some decisions and some creativity and, learning things that, may inspire you in a different way. So taking the time to stop and to discover that. And this year, I think for all of us did that. We discovered things that bettered us in a different way and potentially took our strategy and just layered onto it, which was really important. So it's, the focus and the listening and just being okay, again, when these obstacles come, that you're going to keep going. It's going to be okay, and just take a moment and take the pivot and then keep going.
Yeah, and I like this concept about kind of, planning ahead. Obviously, no one predicted where we were going to be with this pandemic. Absolutely no one. For me personally, I always believe in kind of the personal business plan. I think is so important, right? Who you are, what's your competition, what's your market look like, et cetera. And I've always done kind of a 1 year, 5 year, and a 10-year plan. And again, if you would have asked me 12 years ago when I was, working in the Treasury transition team at the height of the financial crisis, if I would, see what was coming, and obviously you probably know I led the efforts to put Harriet Tubman on our $20 bill, and still working on that. And so there's so many other things that are still happening or need to happen, that even the best laid plans don't always work out the way we think they're going to work out. So that being said, it is important though to keep focus, as you said, Kirsten. It is important to do that plan, as you said, Mickey, and it is important, Autumn, as you said, to know when to go to the next step, to kind of leave what you need to leave behind and move on to that next step, which is so hard. So to all of you, what do you see for yourselves in the next 5 years? Let's start with you, Mickey.
I mean, our goal is really for Superfit Hero is to become the most trusted brand for plus size activewear. So we want to, expand into new markets through wholesale partnerships. Right now, we're direct to consumer only. That's really, that's our goal is trust and connections with our customers, which is what we're best at. But now in the next 5 years is to figure out how to do that at scale.
Excellent. What about you, Autumn? 5 years.
Yeah, so I would say for Proxy, it would be primarily to be the number one resource for business support and help for Black women entrepreneurs. But personally, I would love to become a national or international advocate for entrepreneurs, specifically for diverse and women-owned businesses.
That's amazing. And Kirsten, so as we think about kind of retail in general, and do you think we're going to go back to kind of the brick and mortar traditional retail model? What do you see for White House Black Market?
We see both. Obviously, our digital presence will continue to grow, but brick and mortar is still an important factor of our business. And there's two reasons, because that personal service and personal touch is important, and it's part of who we are. So as our brick and mortar businesses are now, they're open and they're reopening, we definitely see many people coming back into brick and mortar. But I think you have to evolve and really think about, what does the store of the future look like? How do you bring digital capabilities into your store? And then also, how do you continue to offer her that service and that meeting her on her terms and her needs to really differentiate yourself? Because brick and mortar isn't going away, and you see so many digital companies opening stores. So again, it's still an important part of retail, but I do believe it'll continue to evolve and transform, and it's already looking different and will continue to. But it is important to consider that as you map out your brands and your future, as what does that look like for your brand?
One question that I just completely related to was like, what did you do? Did you do anything? Did you take baths? Did you go running? And or like what else? And then how did you handle this with your teams? Because as leaders, you have to show up every day, just, feeling, as powerful and you can motivate your team. So how did you do that for your teams? And Kirsten, I'm going to go to you first. And then flip it over to you, Autumn and Mickey.
Wow, it is a good question. I ran a lot. I've been a lifelong runner, so a lot of running, definitely yoga, and honestly, it was pulling my team together and keeping everybody really close. And we just, we were honest with each other and had a lot of conversations on how we're going to do this. And I think it's just having that bond and bringing your inner circle close really helped us get through this.
Yeah. So for me, it was a lot of prayer and a lot of therapy. And then also I picked up biking, which was something that I haven't done since like high school. And so now I've kept the habit alive. I try to do 15 to 20 miles every other day. Which is great. And in terms of the team, again, I have a small team, which is just my co-founder team. And again, just like Kirsten said, it was just being honest with each other and allowing ourselves to take a break and not try to spin the wheels so much to figure out something that just needed time to kind of sort itself out. So allowing ourselves to be human and allowing ourselves the break that we needed.
Yeah, I'm the same exact thing here. I've been running a lot. I've always been really active. I mean, hence the activewear brand. Yeah, so that definitely helped me mentally, just to kind of clear my head, get away, because you're reading the news and you're looking for resources and you're applying for PPP and I don't know if you all remember the chaos during that time, because there's new things coming out every day and who knows what's going on. It was just this constant emails and back and forth. It was a lot. So yeah, just getting away for time outside, away from screens, was really, really helpful. I also have a really small team, and so I was just super transparent, like, here's where we are, here's what's going on. Everyone just knew where we were every step of the way. And so we were all in it together. I instituted, our team now has unlimited vacation, and we encourage mental health days. And so, we were sort of like that all the time anyway, but we really formalized those processes over COVID, just to make sure that folks feel supported to take the time away that they need. So yeah, we're super close.
We all had way better health, running and biking. I'm with Barbara. I drank a lot of Chardonnay, but that's okay.
I did that too.
Okay, so switching gears, we've just got a couple more minutes and then we'll wrap on our one action here. But I'd love to hear what you think of as you're planning with your teams, like what you're thinking ahead to. Like, what are you going back to live events? Are you, Kirsten, are you changing anything in brick and mortars? Like, hand sanitizer at every station forever? Is that something that we're looking at? In Autumn, as you're, shifting and closing down a business, but then now starting another one, what, most excites you as you look ahead to the next year? So I'll go back around this time. Nikki, maybe to you first, of what trends you're seeing and what's keeping you excited and looking ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so interested in just what people are demanding right now is so different than even a year ago, as far as relationships with brands. People want to know that we don't have extra time. We want to know, is this going to fit me? We want to know, who am I enriching with this purchase? People want to know, what does your brand believe in? Why do you exist? What is your supply chain? And I'm really excited about that, because those are the things that we as a small brand care about deeply, but also we're just better at them than larger companies. And so I'm actually really excited about the future now, just because we have such a strong relationship with our customers that have stuck with us through this time. And I think because people are just being more demanding. So yeah, I'm really excited about where things are going. We're actually looking at getting a space. We've been fully remote this whole time and worked from home even before the pandemic. So I'm really excited to get a space where we can all get together and host events and photo shoots and, so that we can find ways to get our community together offline as well.
Amazing. Love that. Bouncing it up to you, Autumn.
Yeah. So again, like I mentioned, we're going to be wrapping up Detroit Dough probably in the next few months. Again, bittersweet end. I loved every second of it, but I am okay, and I'm releasing that it's time to go. And so I'm excited to finally make the announcement to the people who have been supporting us for a while, and just really share kind of our experience through that. So I'm excited to share the real version of what the pandemic has done for some businesses, but also looking at it from a positive perspective, because I think that unfortunately we see the statistics and it's really sad, but I don't think that our end has to be a sad ending, right? But in terms of Proxy, I'm really excited to grow. I'm really excited to start meeting people in person. And I think that just business ideas and authenticity and coaching people and helping them to develop their businesses and their strategy in person is just a magical experience. So I'm really looking forward to partnering with a couple of organizations here in Detroit to help facilitate those things. But outside of that, I'm just kind of where Mickey is. I'm going to allow my customers and my community to dictate where we go next. Again, what I've learned is, things can change in a year. A lot can change in a year. So I'm going to be open to the possibility of just wild growth and going with it.
I love it. Wild growth, going with it. And it turns out Rosie had a power outage. So we're just going with that. Kirsten, take us home on this one before we go to one final question and wrap and close.
Absolutely. I am extremely excited about the future and the future of the brand. You know, our customers have, as I've said, we've been in such close contact. Her social calendar is filling up. You know, you see travel plans being reinstated, weddings, you know, all the weddings that were canceled are back. And she is going back to work. And yes, work will look different, but she's, you know, so she definitely, she needs us. And, you know, I feel extremely optimistic that with, you know, emotional product and staying on your brand DNA, and really this is the time to take risks because everyone, you know, is ready to bounce back in. And if you know your brand and you stay close with your customer, you know, this is the time that you can really accelerate in your business. So I'm feeling very positive, and we have an incredibly talented team. So we're ready to go.
This is it. This is the time. I love that. And so I feel like that's a great message for all the women listening in, to say, like, to give them the confidence that I think that just hearing from a variety of different leaders that we're going to be back, women are getting out, and now is a good time. So take that with you. Before we wrap, I want to say 10 women from today are going to be selected to get decked out in White House Black Market so that they can get themselves founder ready. And they'll get one-on-one sessions and coaching from the team, and they get a free photo shoot. So head on over after today to go to the expo so that you can look as good as everyone here. This is the best I've looked in roughly a year and a half. So thank you. Okay, every Ladies Who Launch event, we wrap with what is one action you want every entrepreneur to take this week. So it has a deadline. And it relates to the new normal. So anything that particularly resonated with you. And I'm going to kick it to Autumn first.
Yes. So my biggest thing is do something that scares you. I know that you have a to-do list of things that you were like, oh, like if it was a perfect world, if I was, you know, fearless enough, I would do it. Send that email, send that DM, take like literally just one thing and go for it. And I look forward to seeing how it pays off for you.
Love that. Nikki?
I would say have a conversation with your customers or your potential customers and ask them, it's literally one question. What is your biggest challenge doing X? And X is whatever your product or service is. And you'll find out exactly what they need from you instead of guessing. It's very helpful.
Yeah, take the guesswork out of it, right?
Yeah.
Kirsten, final to you. What's our one action? Build your network. Build your network of people. It is all about, it's all about people. And what I would say is find somebody who inspires you and somebody who you want to connect with and reach out to them. And it's amazing how many people will answer you. And again, as Autumn says, if it scares you, do it. Because the more you build your network, you can really leverage and tune into people, and it helps you to grow, and also just, again, somebody to be a thought leader with you.
I love that. I think that is a great way to say that all of you should go to the networking session here. We have one final session, a final keynote, but after we've put the action to you all to meet 5 people, and it's scary. They're over there in the networking. They're out there in the Ethernet. But Barbara, I know it's all scary, but listen to these incredible leaders and just jump in there, build that network, do something that scares you, and ask a question. So with that, ladies, thank you so much for joining us. I just loved listening in, jumping into your sessions, and really learning from you all. So we've got all their contact info just in this chat. So make sure you go check out Superfit Hero, follow Proxy and Autumn on her new venture, and of course, go shop the new collection of White House Black Market so that we all look super fine for the weddings and events that we're heading out to here real soon. All right, you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.